What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as RideMyAvatar, and today we're going to be talking about some useless cards, it seems, apparently in the formats. So without further ado, let's dive into the video and talk about it. So first off, let's talk about these memory blockers, or, the rookies that just negate. They're negate rookies of some sort. So first off, Modoki Betas are if your opponent can't gain memory except with their tamer effects, which slows down against Hammer Spark, the mem boosts, any deck that wants to play anything that gains a bunch of memory for nothing. Really powerful card, right? Well, it doesn't see much play. Then we have cards like Pumamon that says all players can't play Digimon by effects. This does see play in its counterpart because it's actually able to be played in the deck because it is a vegetation. And that's a huge upside in most categories because of the fact is that it is in its tribal category, it can actually see play. Then you have Psychmon here, who is basically all turns can't reduce play costs, so good against Crossheart, good against Death X's, anything that is about to spam out something for free, Psychmon can usually negate it. Then you have Cutemon here, opponent's turn, your opponent can't reduce the Digievolution cost. Holy cow! This is very important because your opponent can't reduce the Digievolution cost, means they can't basically climb up for free, good against anything that is using Digisorption, or has a reverse inheritable effect that just says, like Greymon X, that says, I'm going to reduce this. Well, now it's not going to get reduced. Now you have to deal with this, answer this. This is now costing your full cost. And then you have Kokuamon here that says all turns players cannot ignore Digievolution requirements. So that means anything that likes to warp. So Guilmon, Impmon, or even against a Vmon. So all three of those get shut down by this thing. So if you have your level 6 out, you can have this out to shut down anything that they might want to warp into. And that's vital in some cases. The problem comes down to is that we're in a point in the meta where these cards just don't do anything. Let's take a look at Across Time. Bloomlord, at least Latum, it actually did see something, which is pretty good. Bloomlord took first there, which let's take a look at it. Does it actually play them? We'll find out in a minute. But normally, because green can tech things in and spit out bodies for free, usually they're able to tech it in very comfortably. So, like I said, text this in so that in the mirror match or against anything that's named Machinedramon can actually, you can slow it down a bit. I mean, second place was Machinedramon, which is vital. Let's take a look. So taking a look at that, Machinedramon's not terrible, pretty solid across the board. Outside of that, let's take a look at another Bloomlord. So did the Bloomlord actually have something that I wanted to see? So yep, it is up to date, so that makes sense. Outside of that, nothing too crazy. We have some Blue Flare, War Greymon, Hunters, the whole 9-yard debacle. Not terrible, but taking a look into that future stuff, we're going to take a look a little bit back. Then you have the Italian regional, where, Blue Flare took it, but there was Beelzemon. But a lot of these decks will not be playing anything that would negate anything. See? Nothing here. They just use their in-house removal, if they face against it, to take care of that kind of problem. Most of their decks are a little bit faster and more tempo. They're not generically looking for support. So that's kind of vital there. And then let's take a look at this. BT11. Same thing kind of happened. There was no real reason to be playing any negates or anything like that because a lot of these decks minus Bloomlord, let's be honest, can play this because the fact of that the Pumamon can be played in the deck because it is a vegetation, and then Terriermon can be spit out for free or slammed down on your opponent, and then your opponent really doesn't have an answer to it. There's just been no real reason because they are kind of slow against the big boys of the format. So let's take even a look at BT13. Excuse me. Okay, let's go to BT13 real quick. Taking a look at 12 on the Europe side, even still. Let's take a look at 12 here. Translate, please. So we have Black War Greymon, X Antibody, which, no, this is BT11, sorry. Sheltmon times 7, Crossheart, Grandis, Merva, Mugen, All Force Veedramon, Maste, Blue Flare, War Greymon, Xmon, Jesmon, Bloom Lord, Ophanimon Fall Down Mode. So out of the top 3, you had Crossheart. This is Merva Cross, and this was times 7. They kind of separated, both equaling out to being the same thing. And then you have X Antibody with Grandis Quagga being there. You know, that shows some information there, what's going on. Let's take a look at BT12. You had Red Black Greymon, Hunters, Red Hybrid as your kind of big boy decks. And most of the situations where this could come up is that, taking in the account, your opponent can't, where is it? Cutemon's kind of effect. As long as you had that, it slowed it down a bit, but it was not strong enough because of the fact of they can just kill off the Digimon not caring about it. But all in all there, you know, the top 3 decks, Beelzemon leading into 4th, wasn't terrible. And that's huge information. Now taking a look at BT13, where Shine Greymon and Royal Knights. Then you have Red Black Greymon, Balphamont, Beelzemon, Hunters, all this good stuff here. Taking into account of that, so why have these things faded out? In all honesty, there is some reasons for that, and that's because in-house archetypes have a lot of easy way of removal. So Black War Greymon, even if you had the Cutemon, this could just easily get popped by the Metal Greymon by just blowing it up by an effect. Now let's take a look at, what is it? Royal versus Royal Knights right now. A deck that would be really hammered by Psychmon. They have plenty of room. They have a decent removal in-house. So where's they have none other than, not Shine Greymon, Jesmon. Choose any number of your opponent's Digimon whose total DP adds up to 6,000 or less. Delete them. For every other Digimon you have in play, add 2,000 to the maximum to choose effect. And then all your Digimon doesn't matter. But the fact of it has a base removal there. And then basically what the deck started teching was Marcus's. Marcus's being able to remove any of these annoyances off the board just by playing him. He'll set you to 3. So if you are dealing with them and they have no way of recurring them, they just get blown off the board by one Marcus slam down. And it's a memory setter, so now they're benefiting from it. Even though it's a 5 cost, it's not terrible. I mean, even let's go into, let's see, the in-house archetype for BT11. BT11, let's talk about Blue Flare, which is a deck getting some support and love in the following set. Well, I mean, they have a in-house card called Metal Greymon Cyber Launcher. So you may place one Digimon with Blue Flare in its trace from your hand from under one of your tamers, and as a bottom Digi-Evolution to return one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon to the bottom of its owner's deck. If Cyber Dramon is in its Digi-Evolution, you can return a level 4 or lower to the bottom of its owner's deck. So being able to get these off the board for something that you already have in-house, and it's a armor purge, so you're already doing decently, being able to deal with threats that like a Psychmon and get it off the board is nasty. And even with All Force here, let's talk about All Force. You would try to slow down the memory gain because you want to, but Madoki Beta basically gets bounced to hand because once return, unsuspend, return one of your opponent's level 3 or lower to its owner's hand, increase the maximum level of this effect, can choose by 1 for each blue tamer you have in play. So basically the Madoki Beta that you slam down to choke them out isn't doing anything because they bounced it to hand, so that would naturally slow All Force down, but it doesn't because it naturally removes it. And then let's even get into Crossheart territory. So Crossheart, you know, Psychmon would definitely should slow the deck down to a snail pace, but what happens is in that matchup, they have Dorlulumon that basically says if you have another Digimon or Tamer with cross hardness traits in play, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3000 DP for the turn. So that Psychmon you just have out, you just played with a free Akari, basically says, you know, that Psychmon you have, it's gone. Or if they have Pumamon, that's really where it slows it down, but then they'll just slam down a Dorulamon, and if they have Zenjiro out, they'll gain the memory anyway, reducing the cost to a 3 cost and popping your Digimon by an effect. So it becomes almost like a lot of these in-house archetypes are having a easier out in most instances to deal with threats like this. I mean, even taking a look at what is classified the best deck of the format right now for BT12, Beelzemon. Beelzemon has Blast Mode that if it's milled, if it's milled, when this card is trashed from your deck, it delete one of your opponent's level 3 or lower Digimon. For every 10, you can go up. So if you have a Madoki Beta, you just chain this to go off first, and boom, your opponent's Madoki Beta is off the field. Or if you're going to do Warp Itmon, you Digivolve up, go into this, the middle of the top 4 happens first. Anything that would gain you memory is going to be put on pause, and then you just pop it with Madoki Beta. So it becomes really apparent pretty quickly that these cards become less and less effective as more and more decks are designed to just have instant outs to these cards. I mean, Kokuamon might slow down the warp so that Itmon's not going to do much, but the fact of that all you need to do is just Digivolve on top of it. If you're building a stack, Kokuamon just doesn't do anything after that point. They'll just mill out, but that's kind of what you wanted them to do, is not climb up effectively, or even with the Madoki Beta. And it just becomes more and more apparently clear that, yes, they can slow down a turn, but most of the decks don't even care nowadays. So that's why they kind of just started phasing out of lists. There's just no real reason to play them except for Bloomlord, because it actually fits into the tribal theme of the deck because of the vegetation. So it becomes easier to play for nothing compared to the counterparts that you would have to hard play them for 3. And usually that might give your opponent 3 memory. If you're lucky, it could memory choke them. But even then, even taking into the account of Machinedramon here, yes, you couldn't gain the memory if you hard played something, but the fact of they can just tuck a Megadramon under that stack and hopefully that's enough to swing in and blow it up is huge. And that is vital information because of how that works. And Madoki Beta is just annoying to deal with, yes, for Machinedramon, but outside of that, if your deck has a natural out to opponent's board states, this just means these are just becoming less and less viable because the fact of they are 3 play costs, they are very weak, and they're just easily outed in most circumstances. Even taking into, Greymon tribal decks or anything like that, they just have natural outs in these situations. And even taking a look at this, what in this format does this slow down? And it's not really much that can be slowed down here. I mean, even with our good friend, guess who, All Force here, this can be able to, when digivolving one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 2000 DP for the turn, and if you have a blue or yellow tamer in play with armor form in its traits, one of your opponent's Digimon with 6000 DP or less cannot attack or block until the end of opponent's turn. Kind of locks down a little bit, But this is where information comes vital and understanding. There's not much you can do in certain formats nowadays because of the fact of there are just ways to out this. And even taking into the account, future Ruin mode is going to be nasty in some circumstances because Psychmon becomes less and less useful because when Digivolving or on deletion, all your opponent's Digimon gets minus 5000 DP. If you're using Bellastar, that doesn't matter because as long as they can get this card, the Bellastar, out in the first place, they're going to, or Beelzestar, is when this thing can Digivolve on top of it if you don't get Psychmon down soon enough. If one Bellastar or Beelstar is out, you're going to see this card come down, and then your opponent has no answers to this Ruin mode. So It's vital information to keep in accounting for, just because of how effectively these cards have fallen from their strengths. Beforehand, they used to be valid, but also I think the problem comes down to is that also deck space is a problem. Cards that are designed as silver bullets become less and less effective in tribal themes, because unless they can be fit in through the tribal, you're not going to see any value in them. And that's going to be a big turning point in some cards designs. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know how you feel about these little guys. Are you guys still playing them? Are you not? Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace!